This is Religulous, Cyrus.
Religulous. It's
All
like,
this
it's
ridiculousness.
just so ridiculous.
It's just so ridiculous.
Exactly.
So like an Asian guy trying to talk. It's just so ridiculous. But
Yeah, it does sound like English, doesn't it?
but man, I am so sorry that I wasn't able to see this. I was out of town and I was looking forward to you and Leon going to see it, but Leon's a big pussy, so he couldn't show up tonight.
Yeah, well, he showed up looking a little gray, like, I haven't slept in 6 years. You know, he's got to take he's eaten his share of virgins, and now it's time for his, like, you know.
His big slumber.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, you and I'm not going to even try and bring our religious beliefs into this, or lack thereof, or whatever, but.
I mean, I'm not personally afraid. I have no fear of being honest, saying I'm agnostic.
I don't either. No, I don't. Well, enough people have said, "Oh, Korey, well, you've said your beliefs enough on the side." I mean, which I didn't think I was saying it that much because I never pushed it in anybody's faces. I guess maybe I was talking on the phone or doing one of those call-in shows or something, and it came up like about 3 times. So I just didn't want to say it anymore. But you're agnostic.
Yeah,
you're not atheist.
Which is
you're
hard
agnostic.
for me to push it on him. He's like, God damn it, I don't know.
Well, some people don't even want to hear that. They'll stop you and like, oh, I think you do. Deep down in your heart, you do.
Well, that pisses off everybody. That pisses off atheists. That pisses off the mildly spiritual. It pisses off the extremely spiritual. They all hate agnostics. We are the bastard stepchild of religion.
Okay, well, let me just go ahead and bring mine up. I am an atheist, but I always thought you were. No. And now that I know, I do hate you. No, I don't. No, see, that's the thing.
I just can't be that sure. I'm like, really? I don't know. I guess it's possible there's something. I mean, but I'm a fantasy-prone individual, as you might have noticed at this point. So deep down in my heart, I want to believe that there is a Spider-Man. So that's it. That's about it.
So you're an agnostic of superheroes,
I'm
too.
an agnostic because I want to hold out hope that maybe I could get superpowers. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I see your motive here.
Now, Bill Maher, I always thought he was an atheist. And yet, in this movie, Religulous, which is pretty much his product all the way through, he really comes out more as an agnostic. In fact, he flat out says his belief is, I don't know. So I'm assuming that he is an agnostic and not an atheist.
By the way, I just want to argue that point, and then this is where it's going to come off seeming like I'm hating you now.
Oh, here we go.
You can be atheist, I mean, and still say, yeah, I'm not sure, because people who believe in a God will probably have to say the same thing. I cannot prove that there is a God, but deep down inside, my belief says. So as an atheist, I like to have to say, well, no, I cannot prove it, but deep down inside.
No. I mean, that's just being smart. You're saying, well, of course I can't prove there isn't, but you don't need to prove there isn't. You're like, that's the whole flying spaghetti monster thing. You can't prove that there isn't a flying spaghetti monster. You can't do it. That is not evidence that there is a flying spaghetti monster.
I can prove it. I ate that son of a bitch. I left a turd in the toilet for you. That's him right there. No, so
I ate some flying spaghetti last night. That's some good shit, man. Put some marinara on that. Put that shit right up.
And I threw that shit across the room and then I ate it. No, it's a
shame you couldn't see this. Though.
No, well,
you would have loved it the most, baby.
What? Well, see, that's what I want to avoid. I wanted to see it because I do want to go into this saying that I am going in without. Well, everybody has a bias, but I want to put that as much to the side as possible. But you haven't seen it.
No.
Were you able to do that?
Oh, well, okay, here's the thing. Bill Maher and I are very much on the same side on this. So it's not like I was going to come out of it being offended. This film is most of it is showing the wackiest of religious people, right? The people who are just so far to the extreme, and not just to Christianity, although that's definitely a big focus because, to be honest, most of the people who will probably even see this film are Americans or people who come from Christian-dominated areas, so that makes more sense. But when it comes down to it at the end, his point really is, look, if you are a person of faith and you are supporting these organized religions on any level, you are causing damage to the world and yourself. You really are. You don't think you are, and you think that sounds ridiculous, but guess what? You are anyway. And you can try and rationalize it out any way you want, but I can prove it. And that's kind of his mission of the film that is offending some people, is him saying, look, if you're having faith and you're not thinking that shit through, you're hurting the world.
So I heard one of the big saving graces of this movie. Well, not even saving graces. I heard an interview with this with the creator, with the creator.
Oh wow!
I sat down and talked to God. I was like, "Hey man, what do you think about this movie?"
No, that's a coup for Spill.
Yeah, no, I got the interview of all time.
He sounded just like Morgan Freeman.
I liked this movie. I thought it was very funny. No, I actually heard the guy creator of Belief.net, I think is what it's called.
Right, something like that.
Yeah, it's a religious site that talks about all religions, not just one. And he was offended by the movie, but he did say, he said, you know something? This was a lot funnier than I thought it would be.
It's outrageously funny because I didn't think I would find it much more than, usually I'm with Bill Maher. I'm like snicker funny. I like Bill Maher. He can be smug, sure, but there's a place for that. I'm sorry. And he definitely tells you from the beginning where he's coming from.
Yeah. Hey.
And this is hysterical. There are points I was almost crying. I was laughing so hard.
See, this sounds like it's kind of like Jim Carrey funny, Eddie Murphy funny. So, well, not Eddie Murphy today, but
there's fish out of water elements that people just dig their own holes, and it's hysterical.
That's what I was wondering. Because, all right, let me put it this way: it's that they push it by saying this is from the director of Borat, right?
Right.
And so you're thinking Bill Maher's gonna be running around in a fake mustache and doing practical jokes on people, but it's not. It's a documentary. It is a straight documentary.
Yes.
So how can this be so funny?
Because the guy who directed Borat knows how to get crazy people to just be themselves on camera in a way that's just ironic and funny. I mean, he captures those moments so well that are, most of the time not even prompted. And, the fear of everyone I've talked to is, oh, Bill Maher's just going to be smug to all these people. It's like, these people just dig it in themselves, I mean, they're literally, every time they tried to turn it around, it just makes it worse, where even the most religious person watching this would be either embarrassed or laughing themselves.
So they find funny subjects to talk to, and I mean
he flat out asks in a very polite manner to these people to explain their beliefs. So you asking someone, so despite all the scientific evidence, you believe that 5,000 years ago this planet was created and man lived at the same time as dinosaurs. Please explain. And he gives him a chance to explain, and the guy just digs his own hole.
Yes, man did ride Triceratops, and yes, we did have a bird that used his beak as a record player.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he even says it's like the only time that ever happened was on the Flintstones.
Yes, people did use their feet to drive cars back then.
Exactly.
They had pet stegosauruses or whatever. This is what I was worried about. Did he, the director, not Bill Maher, or maybe both, did they go out and intentionally choose subjects that were easily made fun of, or did they just choose people that they said this seems fair? If they dig their own hole, then so be it.
Well, they chose some pretty big people to go after. There was some I wasn't familiar with that other people there were. There was a couple big fundamentalist leaders. He's much nicer to the smaller people, strangely enough. I noticed the fear was that he was going to be a big jerk to the simple rednecks he interviews, and he's actually much nicer to those guys. He's like, look, I understand where y'all are coming from. Yeah, he's like, look, I mean, y'all are, when he's interviewing these, kind of white trashy people, they're truckers in a truck stop chapel made out of the back part of a truck. And he's really nothing but nice to these guys. But when he gets a chance to talk to big douchebag rich fundamentalist guy, no, he's like, no, fuck you, man. This is absolute shit.
That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. If I was to fuck with anybody, it would be those dudes who have the mega churches and then go home and got the perfect hair, the big house, the 5 cars. I mean, Hey, look, I don't give a fuck what you say. Those are some hell of a tidings coming in for you.
But don't you know God wants them to have that?
This is your only $2,000 suit.
The gentleman who made this suit for me owns a clothing store.
Hey, Mr. K, you in the house?
The prices that I get my clothes for, I'm blessed in that area.
Yes, you are.
I'm more blessed than I've ever been all the days of my life.
And the owner is a Muslim, which I came out of Islam.
I know, and I think it's very interesting that you're a Christian now, you were a Muslim, and when you get your clothes, you buy them like a Jew.
And see, that's always the excuse is that God wants us to be prosperous and work hard. And like, nah, man, you ripping people off. That's all it comes down to.
This awkward moment where Bill Maher goes,